Uh, okay, we are live. Let me tweet this out. Okay, let's see. All right. Any questions for everyone who's here? Shoot questions, and I'm going to answer just about anything you ask me, unless it's a weird question, and I'm just not going to answer it. Simple as that. Pretty simple rules to a pretty simple session of Q&A. And go. All right. Do you have a girlfriend? No. Who is the best on your team in Apex? Scumpy. Your bed is made. Yes. Are you gay? No. I don't know, actually. I saw an old pic of you. You used to be chubby. Yes. Aren't you like the big dude? The big black dude? Who's the best player on your team for Apex? Scump. Are you sponsored by NOS, the energy drink? Yes. And I wasn't chubby. I was just big boned. Kind of funny that you stalk me, though. Kind of weird, to be honest. Seems like some people would have something better to do with their own time than stalk other people's pictures. That's not you, all good. At least I know that guy's not a faggot then. Let's see. A bunch of questions just appeared. That sucks. Favorite teammates? I love all my teammates equally, to be honest. Why am I such a tool? I don't know. I love you too, Prophet. Why is my bed made? Because it's made. Who do you trust most to come big in a game of search for probably Scumpy? Usually him and Merc are, I mean, Big T does it too sometimes, but Scumpy's probably the one that drops the most kills most of the time. What is my sensitivity? It's 3. How do you go over strats with your team? Mainly, we don't have that many strats. We kind of have like breaks, and we talk about certain areas that we have to control. Like set strategies never really happen, never really work because every situation in the game changes while you play it. So, I mean, set strats that don't really exist. One sec. Rainbow, you need a clan trial stuff against plan. That was the best team yet. The one you pretend you were in a car crash. Oh yeah, that was just trolling. It was funny. Who's the show match against tonight? Flame Retardant, and it will be on Apex TV. Yes. Do you find Scumpy's moaning demoralizing? No, Scumpy rarely moans. What's my favorite match I've ever played in? Probably COD 4 Nationals at Anaheim. Do I have lips? I don't think so. I might have a little bit, but who knows? I think I'm pretty good. I'm not even sure what's. I thought Scumpy was running an AR still. I'm not even sure. Scumpy does whatever he feels like, pretty much. We make whatever we do work. That's what's important. Favorite teammate of all time? Well, big timer since I've been teaming with him for so long. I really hate how this chat thing is like so bad in this YouTube shit. Is there any chance of you not winning EGL5? Who knows? I never know. We've never played any of those teams on LAN, and LAN's a lot different than online play. So, who knows? It's hard to tell if we're gonna win or not. I prefer wired controllers. I am from Montreal, Canada. What's my YouTube password and email? So weird. Thoughts on Nate Shot? I don't really give my thoughts on personal people. Yeah, my French is my first language. What is my favorite esport? StarCraft. When am I going to upload my next pro tips live? I deleted the one I did yesterday because it wasn't good enough in my opinion. Why am I doing a Q&A? Because I just do Q&A. I felt like answering questions. And I feel like people maybe had some questions I haven't done. I usually do these Q&As like pretty much after every stream before when I stream on Twitch, so I figured people had questions like they did usually. Sorry if I'm missing question, guys. This chat thing is like absolutely terrible, and I'm really hoping they fix this soon because this is really getting aggravating. We're pretty confident of taking first at EGL. Do I recommend Tritons? I recommend. Not. I don't really think. I think A40s Astros are the best headset. Yeah, Big T's a good dude. He's a good guy to meet. Top 4 teams in North America, probably us, Collapse, Envy, and Fort is not entirely sure. Who is the best at COD 4? Dodgers is the best player in COD 4. Do I smoke weed? No. You going to Hug Rail at LAN? Yes, I definitely am going to Hug Rail. I don't even think Nate has a team right now. Dude, I really hate this chat with a passion. What do you think of the results of the IR Pro Gaming Challenge? It's whatever, to be honest. I mean, you're forcing 2 pros on a team, which is like, I mean, sure, it's fun for the AMs to like be able to play with pros and like maybe like have a better chance, but it's still retarded. Like, I think they're doing the same thing for the Niagara Falls tournament, which I'm like not even sure I want to go to anymore because it's like if you're gonna compete, why wouldn't you want to compete with your team? It's like there's no point. Like, why would anyone travel to those? It's just you're basing yourself off local attendees. That's all it is. You're not even giving people a reason to travel to or for. It's like if MLG was like you're only allowed to have 2 good players on your team, which is fucking retarded. We're challenging. We're playing Flame Retardant tonight, which is the old Nexus. I'm not entirely sure of all the names. I think it's Flux, Hammer, Jake, and I forget the last guy. I doubt we'll ever do GB seriously again, unless we have a reason to. I'm trying to get all the questions, guys, but every time I like scroll down in a chat, it's like every time I stop to read a question, it like puts me back up all the way up to the top, which is fucking stupid. So I'm missing a lot of questions. I'm sorry, guys. This chat is just all here. I'll just start. I'll just pass all the questions. I'll go to the chat on the main page. All right. Top 4 teams, NA and EU. Sorry if I missed some questions. Just ask them again. I'll go over them. Sorry about that. I'm trying to answer. Kid. I'm 23. Top 4 teams, NA and EU. I'm not even sure. We haven't played all the teams in Europe, so I can't really give an opinion on the European teams. Do you think Fear is the top? I don't think. When's the last time you played Fear? I have no idea. I don't even know who's on the team anymore. I think it's Twiz, Assassin, John, and Mo actually. So I have no idea. I couldn't tell you until we played him. There is going to be a show match tonight at 7:30 Eastern time, which is in 2 hours from now. Why do so many egos? People play. I don't know. Some people have weird things, I guess. Minors. The question was, why do so many known people have such big egos? I mean, some of them just don't have big ego. Sometimes they're just like some of you people are really soft and like can't take no for an answer. When one of you guys like, if someone asks me like something like, ask me your friend request and I say no, they're like, oh, you think you're known and good and something like, dude, I just don't even know you. Why the fuck would I send you a friend request? It's like you guys take shit a bit too far as far as like saying someone has an ego. Who's the best mod for 2 player? Probably Proofy. Am I going through online? I'm not sure yet. What country do you have to move to? I'm not moving anywhere. Why won't you go back to Twitch? Because I signed a contract. What are my overall thoughts on Modern Warfare 3 about no LAN, about MLG not picking up COD? Well, I mean, it's not really MLG's fault for not picking up COD because we have no LAN, and no LAN is because people are too fucking lazy to make a functioning video game. What are your tips for AND players? That's really a general question. There's no such thing as a tip for an AND player. Play the game, have fun. Do I have a scuff controller? No, I don't have a scuff controller. What happened to playing phase? Saints left phase, so I don't even know. They don't have like a full four anymore. And I'm sorry if I'm missing questions again, guys. It's not. I just can't control the chat, which is retarded. It's, as much as I want to answer all these questions, it's like it's going down, and I can't control when it's going down or going up. It's like a comment page. It's really retarded. And I'm gonna voice my opinion tonight about it because I'm really getting tired of shit. Why is Scum not running ACR anymore? I have no idea. I'm pretty sure he was running an ACR last time we played. How do you do your job so well as a leader? Probably because I have a good multitasking ability. I'm able to play the game at a high level as far as playing for myself and also seeing what's going on and able to direct somewhat my team to make sure everyone's on the same page as far as we're doing. What should people do with the year off if MLG doesn't pick up COD? Well, we're going to Europe to compete, so we don't have a year off. There's all these online tournaments to play in. 360 Icons is going to hopefully do a good job at running all these online events. There's still a lot to play for. We play Envy a lot. Last time we played Envy is like 2 weeks ago, so no, not really. Proofy had the new chat. Well, I'm lucky Proofy because I want a new chat too. I don't know. I'm gonna really be mad if someone else has something I don't have because this is stupid. Did you hear about the 402 sucks team in Iowa? No, I didn't hear about that. How would I feel about trying to become? That's actually something I would like to do in the future. Maybe work. I don't know about as community manager as far as like a direct position on a gaming development company like that. But I do. That's probably what I'm gonna do whenever I'm done with my competitive career. Is like fall into one of those companies. Hopefully. Do I play Claw? No. What would you say is your best quality as a pro gamer? Probably my ability to understand the game. Probably at a better level than most players. Just as far as knowledge is concerned, being a mature player, I guess you can say. Am I going to move to the U.S.? No, I don't have to move to the U.S. I just got to move out of Quebec, which I plan on doing at some point. Who's the best NA team other than you guys? Probably NVS. Do I consider myself a good player? Yes. Do you play Claw? No. Show match tonight is 7:30 Eastern time zone. Central time would be 6:30. Why did big teams pick up uncommitted players when it's pretty hard to like name me uncommitted players? It's pretty hard to like. I mean, I for myself like have like maybe 2 or 3 players that I would actually play with that are not on my team right now that I know of. Like it's hard not to play with the top players. It's just something that's really difficult. I'm not even on Optic anymore, so stop asking me Optic questions. You brought up friend request. What about opportunities? Typical Moto. I don't know you. Well, that makes no sense. That's the one thing that pisses me. I'm gonna rant now because you make me rant. You brought up friend requests. What about opportunities? You make your own freaking opportunity. You don't go out there and like go like I see so many people tweet at pros and like, oh, give me a chance. I'm good. I'm good. What tells you you're good? Why would we give a chance to like these thousands of players that are asking us to give them a chance? That makes no sense. Like even if you're a good player, like I'm sure some AMs out there are good and could be good enough someday, but you have no experience. You don't know what the hell you're doing. You've never played in a high level competition, so it's like you just who knows what can happen if you go to an event and you play for it. You're like, sure you can think you're good enough to be on a good team. Sure, like that's in your own head. I mean, everyone thinks they're good enough to be at something in their life. So if you think you're good enough to be on a top team at COD, sure, that's good for you. But you can't go out and like strictly like go from zero to hero. That's like if I think I'm good at hockey and I go to fucking in the park and I play hockey with my friends and like I beat them all. I'm all better than my friends. So that means I'm good enough to play with the Montreal Canadiens? I don't think so. No, it really isn't. I'm not just gonna walk up to the Habs and be like, "Hey guys, so I'm a good amateur player. I'd like to try out for the team. I'm not entirely sure how that's gonna work out. It doesn't work that way. Look at every sport in life. Everything has like a process you have to go through. You have to compete in a similar environment before people can like scout you and be like, oh look, you're good enough and shit like that. Like high school basketball, like most of the top high school basketball players get recruited into like they have scouts that watch those tournaments from pro teams, and then they get recruited into those pro teams. It's the same thing in gaming. You play with your team, you play with your teammates that you're playing with right now. You play tournaments and you do good in them. By doing good in them, it makes you a good player, and then like these pro players can see you. And if some pro player like ever needs a player that they think is good enough and they can make it to the top, then they'll play with you. It's as simple as that. You can't just go from like fucking nobody to like be somebody. It just doesn't work that way. In anything in life, you can't just be like, oh, you're a pro gamer, so you think you're better than everyone. It's the same thing in every freaking sport out there. Like you have to be able to compare it to everything else in life. So, but yeah. Do I use FPS Freaks? No. Nice Bieber hair. Thanks. Who are those 2, 3 players? I don't really feel like saying. I mean, I don't really care right now. I'm probably never gonna have to team with those players again. So yeah, knowing the Habs GM, he'd probably sign me up. That's good. That's actually a good play. Yeah, he probably would. Outside grabbing flags, there's no such thing as objective player. First of all, there's no everyone that says objective player is automatically voided of talking Call of Duty. There in the only game that there was an objective player was Modern Warfare 2, where you had one player that had the ability to run flags faster than everyone else. The player that ran lightweight. So that player was objective player because he had something that made his style, like he had something that made didn't able him to kill other people was good, and he run objectives faster. So obviously at that point, then you can say, okay, he's an objective player. But in Modern Warfare 3, every player has the same ability. The only difference between an objective mind player is he uses a submachine gun. Sure, that could make you like somewhat an objective minded player, but you can't strictly say objective player because your job is not to just run flags. You have to kill people to get to the flag. Like as far as my ideology on the fact as an objective minded player is, okay, my job on my team, like my role on my team is to keep everyone on put and be able to make plays at your opponent's flag. So and also like be smart on everything. Like we all pretty much do the same thing. We all have the same. Like the only player on our team that probably doesn't like rarely get to the flag is Merc because he runs that anchor AR role, which is needed in my opinion. So he does it very well, which is obviously really needed. So I like there's no such thing like you can't say an objective player because there's not one player on your team that's just gonna go straight to the flag and just run it all the time. Like it's there's no you can't say that seriously. It's as simple as that. I can't really go in depth with that. Do you think having a really good connection helps that much? Not in Modern Warfare 3 with the lag compensation. Sleight of hand or extreme conditioning. Sleight of hand is useless. You don't need to reload faster. It doesn't do shit for you. The only reason people use sleight of hand in the previous Call of Duty titles was because it allowed you to scope in faster, and it doesn't do that anymore. So you have quick draw. So sleight of hand is useless. Did I struggle to win tournaments with poor teammates in the beginning? Sure, everyone did. There's not one player out there that started one day and was like, "Here's my first team with my friends, and I'm gonna win." It doesn't fucking work that way. I'm sorry for the F word, but it seriously doesn't work that way. Everyone starts as a zero. Everyone starts at the bottom of the page. Everyone goes through every like hard situation. I've went through so many teammates in the past 4 years I've competed from. The only player I've teamed with the most was Big Timer until I got dropped from like the only 2 tournaments I've played without Big Timer were the last 2 events last year, and obviously like maybe online tournaments in that period of time as well. But before that, like every time me and Big Timer were a core of players, and we switched teammates. As simple as that. You find someone that's probably the best way to go about it. You find someone on your team that's good, and you like your player, and sure you're both players that have the same type of mindset and the same goals and aspirations, which is what me and Big Timer did. We first started playing. We saw like Walshy play on USA channel, whatever, on the MLG Pro Circuit, and we found out there was MLG for Call of Duty, so we started playing it. And then we saw we actually stopped playing for like during the '08 season for the first year of PCLs on COTS 4, and we stopped playing, and then we came back. Well, I came back, and he came back like a week or two after that, and we saw like We watched the Call of Duty 4 08 Nationals with Fear won. We watched that together, and we were like, shit, this looks like a fucking lot of fun. So we heard that there was going to be the same thing next year, so we did it. We started playing in 09. We started competing. We went through so many players, it's not even funny. Like, we hopped on the game, played game battles like everyone else, found players that were good, started playing PCLs with, moved on, started playing good, beat some good teams, team with other players, and then so on and so forth. You start doing good and you start getting known and people start wanting to team with you. It's as simple as that. You don't just go out there and like be like, oh fuck, I'm better than you, fuck it, play with me. And they're gonna be like, yeah man, you're better than me, fuck that. Like I've won so many tournaments, but you're so much better. It doesn't work that way. It's like as much as you can be delusional and want to believe what you want to believe, it just doesn't work that way. And yes, I say my THs is the only thing I can't pronounce well. THs I will never able to say correctly. That's my Frenchiness. Sorry. All right. Compet gamers have talents, just a lot of practice. Most important of the two. All right. Talent and practice. There's a certain level of skill a player has. I myself probably have the lowest, like probably one of the lowest skill, like either me. I'm not going to say another teammate, but on my team I probably have the lowest amount of like I guess you can say individual skill on my team. Sure you can lack in some areas as a player. Like some people can debate that I'm terrible. Sure, head go ahead and say I'm terrible. I don't believe I'm terrible. I believe I'm a pretty good player, or else I wouldn't be on the team I'm on right now, or I wouldn't be dropping like doing significantly good and help my team out win games if that wasn't the case. But there's also different areas of the game. It's not only skill, and it's not only there's so many things you can learn as a player. And throughout playing my years of experience, is like it's like any sport in life. There's always some players that lack in certain areas, but they make up for so much in a different area of the game that they'll still be very significantly helpful to their team to win. So yes, I would say skill is important, but if you can practice anything else, like skill you can't really practice, but it's kind of like something you're born with almost. But I mean, you can make your shot better by playing it. You can make there's so many things you can do to help yourself gain skill level. I guess you can say skill assets to your game. There's no such thing as a role in Modern Warfare 3. The using a different weapon is not a role. I mean, sure you can say ACR anchor role is like maybe one, but apart from that, even then, like even that player has to like dip out and dip his feet into another player's shoes for sometimes. If there are 40 on your team and that ACR player is the last one alive and he's near a flag, he's gonna pull it. So there's no like set roles. If you play with set roles, you're not gonna be successful. That's as simple as that. Every player on the team has to be able to do everything that's necessary to win. I did not move. So once you start playing with good players, unless you show uncommitment and you don't take it as serious as you did, then it's like you pretty much lose it. Like as long as you keep competing at the highest level and you keep yourself as a good player. I mean, sure you can. There's a lot of players that fell off over the years. Like there's a lot of players out there that are not there anymore that were there. I mean, they still play, but they're not as good or not as talented as they were. And there's always it's the same thing in any sport. I mean, sure, but regardless. Why don't pros scrim AMs? Pros want to play pros. You AMs want to play pros. Why would like you're an amateur player. You want to play pros. Why do you want to play pros? Because you want to play them like some of you want to play them for the wrong reasons. You want to play to impress them, which is fucking stupid. Because nobody wants to play. Nobody's gonna want to team with you after you play them in the scrim. You can beat pros in the scrim, and you're gonna brag about being a top AM team. Oh, we beat them, blah blah. It doesn't mean shit. You gotta beat them in the tournament for it to mean anything. It's as simple as that. And pros, like, why would an amateur want to play a pro? Because they're better than them. Because they've accomplished something. Because they want to beat them. Well, it's the same thing with pros. Pros want to play pros because that's where the good practice is. Like, you don't see like pro NHL teams practicing against like a peewee team. Why would they do that? It's not good practice. It's just you don't have the same type of enthusiasm playing an amateur team than you have a pro team because it's in the end your likelihood of getting a good practice out of it is just not there. So how do you practice as a team and get your teammates to get to know teamwork? It's a big thing about teamwork is it's all individual skill. It's all individual knowledge as far as like every player on the team knows what they have to do. Like 4 players in the team But Call of Duty isn't like Halo. Halo is like kind of game where you'll have to roll in twos and stuff like that. Sure, it's kind of like the same thing as Call of Duty. Sometimes if you roll as a group, it's better and such, so on and so forth. There's always different situations, but what makes you a good player in Call of Duty is your knowledge of the game and your understanding of what you have to do to make your team work together. So if you look on your mini map and you have a team that's running in some area, you don't run in the same area he is because you don't want to you want to cover more ground. So it's like it's that's where I'm going with the whole individual knowledge type thing, where every player on our team smarts and individual knowledge of the game is what makes a good team in chemistry. That's what chemistry is. It's four players thinking alike. That's really what chemistry is. I don't use a scuff, no. Would you say there is a problem today, for example? Wait, one sec. If some shit kids play good kids and the shit kids beat them and good kids rage and don't want to team with you or give them a chance. It doesn't work that way. You don't you just like again, like those are just people you don't want to be playing with anyways. Like if you're an AM team and you beat a pro team and you're gonna go out and brag about it, like it's the same. It's like being friends with someone. If you beat a friend and you like brag about beating him forever over like something that like barely counts or doesn't do shit or is just meant as practice, you think they want to play with someone like that? Like that just shows like straight up that you have an ego. And there's like so many players out there who like hate playing with people who have an ego, as myself. I really hate playing with someone who has like a huge ego, unless obviously like there's a certain limit of an ego, but regardless, like you can't beat someone in a scrim and be like, oh well, you want to play with me because I beat you in a scrim. You can't be like that. It just doesn't work that way. Rambo, you said that you have to make your own team and go from there and advance up from there. But what if someone has an offer from a better team? Do you think they should accept or make own? It depends. It depends what situation you're in. If your team that you have is good, I mean, sure, like some players get offers. Like there's like a really low level where you can like do something like that. But in the end, in my opinion, it's a lot better to make your own with someone that you trust that's as good as you are. That's on the same level, like I did with Big Timer. Where when we first started, we felt like we had the same level of interest in what we want to do and the same goals. So from there, it was like even if we got an offer from a better, like if he got an offer from a better team, like you can go and play with them. But then if they make roster changes just like that every time, then what's the point of joining a team that's not going to last? Like you're a lot better working with someone that you know and just making a solid core of a team and just grabbing players that you feel can do the same, and then you just work from there. You keep getting better. You keep playing tournaments, keep gaining experience, and after a while you'll see it starts clicking, and then that's when you'll make yourself a good player on your own. You don't even need to play a pro. That's the thing about amateurs. All you amateurs out there are strictly out there to be on a pro team. That's not how it works. Why the fuck would you want to play with a pro player when you can be a pro player yourself? Make your own team. Just be the player you want to be, and like instead of like trying to play to impress other people. Like that's not why you're there. If you play competitive Call of Duty or video games in general and you want to play competitively, you should be out there for yourself and play with good players that start off with a good player and just stick with them. Just go to the pro level on your own. You don't need to join a pro team to go pro, because most of the players that actually do that in the end up being like nobodies. They're always on that grind of getting like they're teaming with players that they don't want to play with because all they're doing is waiting to be on a pro team, and it doesn't get you anywhere. Straight up. If you can't find good team players, what do? You keep playing. You got to play what you got. You can't be egoistical about yourself. You can't be like, oh, I'm better than you. Why should I play with you? You can't be like that. If you've never won anything, why the hell would you have an ego in the first place? Yes, we're playing a show match tonight in an hour and 30 minutes against Flame Retardant. I have 25 down, 7 up. How did I meet Big Timer? I played against Big Timer on PS2 way back in the day, and then we started playing. We played again. I think we played against each other in an Xbox GB when COD first came out, and we knew who we were, so we were like, oh shit, we should play together and shit like that. Then we just started playing together, GBs. I got him on EFX with Corporate Mike back then, and then we just pretty much teamed from then on. You think YouTube is a good way to get noticed by sponsors? Well, I mean, not really. I mean, getting the best way to get sponsors want. I mean, sure, having a good YouTube is a good deal. Like if you look at Optic, like Optic is has a huge YouTube following, but what they needed is like when they first started a competitive team is they could get sponsors for their YouTube channel, but they want a team that can be sponsored. Like they want a team that can set an output to a community. And with that, I mean, they were able to build players like myself and other players a following for us. And from then on, it was easy to get sponsors for the channel in themselves and for the team because we had such a big following. That's what sponsors want. They want outputs for their products. So if you have a big following, then sure, like a YouTube channel is like a following. So yes, it can help you get sponsors. Not you can't really get noticed by YouTube though. So no. A show match is a match where it's exactly the same thing as a scrim, pretty much. The only difference between a show match and a scrim is that if you have a feel of competition on it, you feel like you have a better reason to win because you're playing against an audience. There's commentators. You're playing a best of nine, which in a scrim you're not. In a scrim you're just playing like all the maps and whatever happens happens. It's not like you really care if you win or not in a scrim. Like you play like four maps and you play all the CTF maps. You're mainly playing for practice in the scrim. A show match is the best of nine, which is you're playing. First of all, you're playing capture flag and search and destroy. You're playing like it's a real game, so it's more like an official scrim if you want than an actual just like practice scrim. Like you're playing like if we were to play NVS on all the CTF maps, it's like there's no basis of winning in it. Like you play to win, sure, but you play like to practice and notice what's going right or wrong as much as like not as much as like you're trying to like just win like you're playing for like $1,000 or something. Like the level, especially for us, like our level of communication and our emotion, like because we thrive off emotion. So there's like when we play a regular scrim, there's just like we play and it's like okay, he's there, go kill him, or like we don't really communicate like we do in an actual match. And in show matches, we actually play like if you hear our communication during a show match, we're actually like really communicating hardcore. So and it's a lot better as far as a team practice. Let's see. You think Big T is the most? Yes, Big Timer, in my opinion, is the most accomplished player. Nate Shot's crazy if he says he isn't. Big T's won the most. That's as simple as that. And he's been around for pretty much the longest. Do you try to avoid close combat situations while using an AR? Most likely you're going to lose gunfights to SMGs. Actually, the assault rifle, the ACR has a really good... ACR rips an SMG, like, in any situation, in my opinion. Like, the only times where an ACR is not as good in SMGs and when you're like not expecting someone. If you L trigger a corner with an ACR in close range, you're gonna win the gunfight 9 times out of 10. Would you say pros have been playing for a long time? Example since PS2. Not all the pros actually. Um, I mean most of the pros on like on my team. If you look at Scumpy, I don't know when Scumpy first started competing. Like playing like I started playing on PS2 game battles, but like as far as like competing MLG, I only started in 2009. And it's the same. Scumpy started like in Modern Warfare 2 late, like mostly even probably Black Ops, and Scumpy's like the top player right now. So I don't really feel like it doesn't really make a difference. Sure, like you can have certain level of knowledge and understanding about video games if you've been playing for a while, but that's just really something that you gain with time. Like you just keep playing it really. How should you practice for S&D? You can't really practice S&D. That's the one game type that's really hard to understand as a player since you don't get to play very much. Um, if there's one thing I'd say that's good for S&D is staying as a team, staying with the same team, because you're not going to get to play S&D in a competitive environment very often. And the more you stick with the same teammates, the more chemistry you'll gain, because it's really situational. That's why people play a lot, because you get to encounter every situation possible with your team, and then you know how to react to it because you usually see some of the same situations. And it's like running drills or like going to school. Like when you study something for school, you study the same type of not knowledge, but you study the same shit over and over again, so you understand the more possible, the best possible. So whenever you go to an exam, comparing it to a tournament, you're the most ready possible for any type of situation or question that you may be answered. Do I like CTF or S&D better? Probably S&D in this game. I use an AR in S&D all the time now. How did you find about JCap during Monfort 2 and decided to pick him up for IXI? We played against his team a good amount in PCL 1. He was playing with, who was he playing with at the time? I think he was playing with like replays and them. And then we started playing with him a bit, and he was really good. So we picked him up, and then we picked Sidrock up, and that was like the most dominant team we were on at the time. So I mean, you just play with players. Like JCap was a player that did good in PCLs. He placed high, and we like, okay, he looks like a really smart player. We started talking to him, playing with him, and it gelled really well. Like JCap's always been the type of player that understands the game very well and is smart about it. Is smart about how to play it. So like, why wouldn't you want to play on that team like that when that's really what me and Big Timer were preaching for? I don't do what do you think about I don't do what do you think about people. What do you think about assassin? I'm not gonna answer that question. I don't answer what I'm gonna think about someone. It's stupid as hell. Domination isn't good in Modern 3 because it's an infinity ward game like Modern 2. The spawns are terrible, the maps word are terrible, and it's not a good game type. There's no more weekly warfare. That show doesn't exist anymore. And we're playing on Apex, which is European, I guess. Let's see. What is your most confident map that your team can win the most of the time? Our highest success rate for a map. Hmm. For CTF, we probably for S&D is definitely on the ground. We very rarely lose on the ground S&D. And for CTF, I'd have to say Lockdown and Arcade in the most. Those are probably the two maps that we're probably the best at. Lockdown's kind of like a. It really depends on what side you start on. It's kind of like a weird map to play sometimes. But we seem to play good on the good side usually. So I'm gonna say Lockdown as well. You can practice breakouts and maybe some rushes, but most of the time it's on the fly. And yes, that's what it is for S&D and even CTF. Like you can only go over so much because everything is like on the go, and you just had that's really what I was coming back to earlier as far as like every individual player on a team's knowledge comes into effect whenever you play in a competitive match, because that's what it is. It's everyone understanding what situation you're in and how to react to it. Nexus is a really aggressive team. They love you, so they're the best of your team right now. Yeah, it should be a really interesting game. I agree. Hopefully someone can take a map off us. I want to play more maps tonight. Why did Merc leave IXI? I think we had a misunderstanding with Merc whenever we had him in PCL 1, and then we parted ways with him. I'm not entirely sure why. I don't remember back then. It was. We played with Jacob and Sid Rock, and we did what we did, but I don't entirely remember what happened back then. What happened that you had to move to Apex? You can go check on my channel. There's a video that explains it. Are there any tournaments in specific that AMP should focus on more? One thing that I think that's a big factor of right now is like the fact that back then we had online events for PCLs for MLG, as a matter of fact, and last year since it was everything was LAN, it was kind of hard to like invest all the money. Like even I would admit to, if I was an AMP player going to an MLG event, it would be hard for me to like invest so much money into it because it's hard to get out of the AMP bracket. So online tournaments is what you want to focus on as an AM team. You want to start off as playing in all these online tournaments. The same thing for StarCraft. If you look at StarCraft, it's huge. They have online tournaments every day. So like the Frac Cup is probably one of the tournaments you want to focus on. All the ICN tournaments in general, it's all good practice. There's usually a decent amount of good AM teams that play in it. So and usually pros make teams for that as well to pass time on Saturdays. So I think any sort of online tournament you should want to compete in if you're an AM team. Do you think Black Ops 2 will be a success for MLG? Well, if it has LAN, which I'm pretty sure it will since Von Nahara is running it. And yeah, I really hope it will be a good online game. Or a good MLG game, sorry. Favorite competitive COD game of all time? Well, it's probably COD 4, obviously. Why do so many pros throw two stuns in the same spot? That's a good question, actually. You do get stunned more if you stun someone, and the longer they're stunned, the better it is. So that's actually a good question, though. Why do most pros do two stuns in the same spot? I think it's just really in the end to make sure that they're stunned well, because the stun has a certain radius, and if you like, it has a really large radius. So if you throw a stun and it's not actually at their feet, it doesn't stun them that much. So if you double stun it, it actually stuns them the twice as more. So I'm gonna answer questions for like 5, 10 more minutes. I'm gonna take a break and gonna get some food, and then we have our show match in an hour and in a bit. EU teams rush on both sides of S&D when any teams try to play more passive. That's actually a good question. How is that going to work in EGL? What we played when we played Search and Destroy against Epsilon and Apex and Western. We didn't play. No, we didn't play Western World. We only play like two. Well, like I think it's a big factor actually. Like what we do in S and D is we try to cover a lot of ground passively. So we put ourselves in a position that's in a pick mode. When I say pick mode, is like you place yourself at a distance from a choke point, which is why I use an assault rifle in S and you're able to cut off a rush if they decide to play aggressive on defense or offense. So I don't really feel like running on. If you're trying to push a choke point from everywhere, it's kind of retarded. Because the only way to play smart in S&D is to kill a player and move accordingly where you kill the player. So there's always a certain pattern that people try to cover. Like on defense, they'll have one guy watch every choke point. So if you kill a player in a choke point, it makes the other team move in a certain way, or it opens up space on the map for your team to move. So I heard some European teams are really like crazy on S&D, so it's going to be interesting to see. It just kind of makes it more random to a certain extent, where if they decide to push like a lot of different angles on the map, then it's like you never know. It's just going to about if you're prepared for it or not. And our defense in S&D is really like based on preparing for like random rushes. So I think we'll see how it goes. Who knows though. Rambo, do you think you would have dropped the map Apex Pro on their host? Well, we were winning that CTF map that they kept lagging out on, so I don't know. Maybe they were a really good S&D team on their host. Who knows? I can't really tell you or not. It's like who knows what would have happened then. Bigger than Halo? I don't know. I don't know how good Halo 4 is going to be, but Call of Duty definitely deserves. Call of Duty is definitely big. Like our community is bigger than Halo's right now because Halo's really been dropping. I've explained already why do I like show matches so much. Oh yeah, we played 3D Max. You're right. Yeah. Oops. Let's see. Is Vondi going to let you guys test before the game because Black Ops released only get? Yeah, I don't know. I was actually really intrigued if they were going to do that for a Call of Duty game. Let pros try it out before they come out with it. I have no idea. I haven't been contacted, so I really hope that would be awesome though if they were actually interested in our input. That'd be pretty tight. You think it's smart to use all your grenades? We don't. I never use all my grenades and stuns at the start of round unless I'm making a push. In S&D at least. In CTF, you kind of like spawn with them all the time, but in Search and Destroy, I never like waste my stuns and grenades that much. The only times I use them is to like try and find out if there's a player in the area. They're kind of like a scouting equipment for me. But no, it's not. It's not a good thing to like just spam your stuns and grenades, and if you're not actually using them to your advantage. Every equipment should be used to the utmost uh, to use it to be successful. Really, are there any aspects of the European game that you think you may struggle against at EGL? Because it's clear there's a large difference between the two play. I don't really feel like it's struggle. I just feel like since they really play like some teams seem to play a lot more aggressive and really kind of like it's really about hitting your shots. That's really what it seems to be like in Europe right now. Is like if you like we play in a certain way where we can like kind of give up a gunfight or two in a situation we don't really necessarily put ourselves in a bad position with. And I think it's just going to be one thing to be on our side of things is just take it a lot slower. Like if they're really aggressive and you play slower, then it makes it that much easier to get kills and outslay your opponent. So and we rarely lose any games when we outslay. So I think it's going to be a big part of Europeans like we're a pretty good adaptive team. We can see how things happen. We can call out like, oh look, like these guys are just rushing this area all the time. So let's just play so in that certain push. So I think those are things that we'll be able to adapt to really fast at EGL. What team do you think? I have no idea. I heard apparently the team we're playing tonight is like one of the top teams in Europe, so we'll see. And it's land obviously, so it's going to be a lot more even than we're playing all these scrims since we're playing on like our host and their host. I like the rules of Deserto better. I don't like extended mags. It's really just spraying praying is like people abuse that shit so much. Like just pre-firing is like ridiculous. Pre-firing an SMG is like you can just shoot for fucking ever. It's so stupid. As Nam, how should I stress consistency? You mean I'm not entirely sure. There's so many general aspects of that. Being consistent is just staying with a team together. I mean, if you stick with your teammates the longest, then that's when you start like consistency is an understanding of how to play the game correctly. If you play the game it's meant to be, then you're by default if you hit your shots you're posed to winning more than not. I don't play GB Online tournaments because I'm from Quebec or Canada in general, and we're not allowed to play them. Have you always been a top player? No, I was not a top player when I first started playing. I was never considered a top player until after we won nationals, when we first like had our first good experience of being a top player, like showing ourselves on a big stage. I guess. Who do you think is the best overall player? The player is able to kill a lot more. Well, I mean, Scumpy is probably the best. The player who gets the more kills on a more consistent basis. Who's the captain of Apex? It's either Merc or Big Timer. I don't know. I don't really care to be honest. It doesn't matter. I've always had my role as like a captain in game, I guess you can say. But as far as like captain on paper, I'd probably Merc or Big. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me to be honest. Why do I love Apex and A so much? My team, because we're all players that are able to have fun in game, out game. We're all players who understand the game. We're all players that are able to play the game at a professional level, and we're all players who are lovable to the community. There's not one thing about my team that I dislike. Do you think MLG will be willing? Well, there's not even a rule set for MLG right now, so like MLG didn't make a rule set for Call of Duty for because there's no MLG. So I mean, technically, like we play extended mags because that's the rule. It's practically the 360 icons rules if you want, but those aren't rules like for North America yet. There's no set rule set here. Why haven't I been streaming so much lately? It's I just we haven't been playing as a team, and I don't really want to like flood my channel with like just random stuff. So hopefully we can start playing, and pretty much all the matches we play are like show matches. So, and what I started doing so I can stream like I started doing that live pro tip session, and to like to pretty much compensate on all the streaming I haven't been doing and showing you guys like those games that we've been playing. I am going to try and put myself in a position where I can play the next COD XP. Yes. You think Big T's the sexiest COD player? Oh my god. I'm not answering that question. Our team's pretty good looking though. Our team is our team's probably the team out there that's the sexiest team. Do you think any teams are better than your team? I don't know. Like those are questions you can ask people all day. It's all going to be opinion until we have like a major event that has like the top four European teams play against the top four North American teams. Then we'll be able to say who's the best, like which teams are the best. Until then, we won't be able to see like what event. That'd be so awesome actually. Like I just had the best idea ever for like a transatlantic community event. If we had like the top four European teams play the top four North American teams and like a pool play where all the North American teams like it's kind of like North America versus Europe. That'd be so cool actually if someone could run that. But regardless, I haven't been playing StarCraft at all lately. So if you ask, will I be streaming SC2? I played like one or two games in the past like 2.5 weeks. So yeah. Regardless, guys, I'm gonna shut the stream off. We're playing. I'm gonna go grab some food and get ready for the show match. For everyone that's been watching, thank you. I plan on doing these Q&As here and there. If anyone has any questions, always ask me on Twitter at apex_rambo. I never shy out on answering questions for you guys. And yeah, show match tonight. It's gonna be on Twitch TV / Apex TV, and I'll tweet it out whenever it starts. So yeah. On that note, I'll catch you guys later.